What's up, everybody? Welcome to the new Movie Epidemic Show. That's right. It's the new Movie Epidemic Show. Don't call it Movie Epidemic. That was a podcast. This is the new Movie Epidemic Show. I got my captain shirt on today because we're talking about captains and also holidays. That's right. It's a double header. We're talking about Greyhound and Andy Samberg's new film, Palm Springs. That's coming up later. First, let's talk about Greyhound.
Stop, Dave. I'm afraid.
Why don't you play us something, baby? Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start? I don't feel so good.
This right here is some more World War II shit. Some pro-war World War II shit. Apple bought this bad boy for $70 million from Sony. This was going to be in theaters. This is like a big budget summer blockbuster kind of film. 90 minutes. Still worth a chunk of change from the old Apple there. That's probably the biggest, I believe that's the biggest single acquisition for the Apple TV Plus, because they only have like 5 movies. So this is a movie based on a book called The Good Shepherd by C.S. Foster. I've never read this book. I don't read a lot of war stuff, Tom Clancy, or especially like historical war stuff. It doesn't interest me, but I am familiar with C.S. Foster only because of The African Queen, and it's a great Humphrey Bogart movie. Katharine Hepburn. That's all I know about that. This is Tom Hanks' third screenplay after That Thing You Do and Larry Crowne. That Thing You Do, pretty good. Larry Crowne, not so good. Greyhound, right in the middle, I think. Right down the middle. This is a sturdy diary of logistics, that's for sure. It's it's not on a sub, but it feels like it is, because it is claustrophobic. Claustrophobic? Claustrophobic. Hell yeah. This is a movie that I think does a lot of things right, but sometimes misses the mark on a lot of places. This is a movie that throws you directly into battle, explains nothing really, and just expects you to learn as you go. And I guess that's interesting for enthusiasts of naval warfare or ships. If you're a boat guy, this might be a movie for you. This is certainly a movie for dads. This is a dad movie. It's like maybe the number one dad movie of the year, if you think about it. There hasn't really been any movies this year, especially not for dads. Now, this is a film that covers one of the most overlooked battles of World War II, the Battle of the Atlantic. There's not that many movies based on it. There are, like, I think from most perspectives, it usually is from the submarine perspective. And this film is not. This film, the U-boats and those dirty Nazis are the bad guys in the film, as they should be. As they should be. And America, number one. No, I can't do this joke. I can't do this joke. Now, the Battle of Atlantic went from 1939 to 1945, and this is a 90-minute movie that covers only 48 hours within those years, so I guess it is an interesting look at what was going on in the Atlantic. One of the biggest problems with this movie is there's not really any characters. I mean, there's characters, sure. Tom Hanks plays a guy named Ernest or Ernie or something. They only say it once, I think. They mostly just call him Captain. I'm the captain now. Besides the slim character arcs, there's very little dialogue that isn't technical. So everyone on the bridge speaks this language of numbers and knots, nautical miles and shit. But the viewer just has to sit there and look at all this technology. I don't know anything about tracking radar, but everyone on the boat does. So they just know things that I do not. Aaron Schneider, the director, says that the lack of dialogue is the point. Which, when making a movie, I think that's certainly a choice you can make, and leave it to the viewer to figure out what's going on. But I think the problem is when you go so deep into like actual trained soldiers saying maneuvers and things that I find it hard to relate to or enjoy, really. I like seeing them work as a team, and I like seeing the battles because it is a good-looking movie. especially for a water-based movie. Sometimes it's a little suspicious when you get on that CGI water. But this is a very good-looking movie. I think I would have preferred to see it in a theater, but I will watch it on my giant screen at home, and that's just fine. Let's talk about director Aaron Schneider for a minute. This is his biggest film that he's ever made. He's made Get Low, which was, I believe that it was a Bill Murray and Robert Duvall movie where Robert Duvall planned his own funeral, or maybe Bill Murray did. I can't remember. I've definitely seen that, but I don't remember exactly what that was about. And then he made a movie called William Faulkner's Two Soldiers, which I have not seen. But this guy really likes to adapt classic literature, I guess. Well, now that we've talked about kind of the technical side of this movie, I want to talk about the movie itself. Like I said earlier, it is truly a movie for naval warfare enthusiasts. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's so accurate. I suspect, because why else would you have so much naval plotting action? These guys are out here literally plotting paths and talking about knot speeds and things of that nature. And talking about how to align a cannon on a ship from a very technical perspective. I don't know if they were right. But if you were enthusiasts, I think you could probably figure it out. It's such a technical movie. But once it does get to the warfare, so this is one of the aspects that is very good. There are a couple aspects that I really do like about this movie that I think are very good. One of which is the naval warfare. It's, generally when you're watching a submarine movie, you see more from the perspective of the submarine and it shooting missiles and stuff. But rarely, I think, do you see a movie from the battleship's perspective. This is a better battleship movie than the licensed board game Battleship movie with Rihanna, I think, was in that movie. I think Rihanna was in that movie. But no, like the naval combat's really cool. You get to see like some kind of like flank maneuvers and stuff like that, and especially when two warships are battling a submarine, it's kind of, you get to see it from angles that I don't know that have ever been shown on screen before. And I think that's maybe more what Tom Hanks was going for. Like, this is more of a technical achievement than it is an actual interesting movie to watch, would be my estimation on it. But the other thing that I think this is really where Tom Hanks shines in this, is it really shows the exhaustion when you're in like a position of power like this, how the constant vigilance destroys the body, and how like there's a really powerful scene at the end. I don't really want to spoil it, but he's crawling into his bed, and it's like the final shot of this movie, and you can just see the exhaustion. And I think that's where this movie, I'm like, oh, I get what they're going for here. It doesn't really work for me, but it is like, there are some good things in this. Now, one quote that I really liked, I was reading a BGR article. It said, "You don't have to know how tanks work to enjoy Fury." In this movie, it does kind of feel like you have to know how a naval battleship works to enjoy it. And it's not necessarily for me, but there are a lot of intense moments that I do think are very good in this. It is a little, comes with the territory of war movie. It's a little pro-military, and that's always weird in this day and age to look at. But it is a very heroic movie, and I think Tom Hanks is good in the role of this aging captain. It's a movie that throws you directly into the action, doesn't waste your time. It's 90 minutes. I think it does succeed where it wants to succeed. To me, this is a classic 3-star film. I think your dad will like it, but I will never watch this again. One time was enough for me, and good to see Tom Hanks working, I guess. I hope he recovered from COVID all right. All right, right after this break, we'll come back and review some fresh Andy Samberg. What's up, everybody? If you like video games, you are in luck. When I'm not doing Movie Epidemic, I'm over on Twitch playing video games every single day. You can head on over to twitch.tv/JHMacy, and you can see me and my girlfriend playing mini games. Right now we're playing Paper Mario and various other Pokemon games. That's every day of the week. And if you miss them, don't worry. We've got the VOD, and we have a YouTube channel right here called Play Pokey, where you can see the archive of every single stream. You can watch all 4 hours of the stream every day, or however long it goes. And that's it. That would be great if you could go over there and subscribe to that bad boy. What's up, everybody? I got my vacation shirt on because we're talking about Palm Springs. This is some fresh Andy Samberg, some fresh Lonely Island, some Lonely Island classics. That pops up on the screen. Obviously the gang produced it. Now, this is a movie in the same vein as Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day. It's one of those time loop movies where you relive the day. Or the reason I think this movie executes that concept well is because it doesn't fuck around and make you watch half an hour to explain the concept. You understand the concept. We all understand the concept. They know you know the concept. They just throw you in. Andy Samberg could be on day 1 million. We don't know. We don't know. We just know that he's been in the loop for a long time. And you can tell almost right away because of his nonchalant attitude to what is happening around him and how perfectly he can execute a single day. Now, this is a movie that premiered at Sundance. Neon and Hulu paid $17.5 to approximately $22 million, somewhere in that region, to acquire this film, and that's a big one for Sundance and a big one for Hulu. I think. I don't know how much they're just buying movies now. I guess Disney owns it now, so they can do whatever they want. I don't know how many time loop movies we need, but it does feel like it's kind of a tired genre, and this does its best to revitalize that kind of genre. Now, this is a rom-com, aside from being a sci-fi loop thriller, but it also it does feel like it takes a lot from Groundhog Day. Really, really feels like a Groundhog Day movie, but does manage to make itself its own. Andy Samberg certainly isn't the best actor in the world, but at least he's funny. And that is the one thing that I've noticed from watching a lot, especially like Netflix ones and stuff, all these rom-coms. Most of them are not funny. Most recent rom-coms do not have any jokes in it. And that's fine, I guess. But when I see a rom-com, I want to at least be laughing. I want to be at least laughing. This one does manage to get some chuckles out of me. It's not only just that it's funny, but the characters are also quite good. The two main characters, Andy Samberg plays Niles. Kristen Milioti plays Sarah. These are the two characters. Now, Andy is he's a pretty good archetype of like kind of the millennial that's given up hope that they can make any change in the world, kind of having an existential crisis in his early 30s. It's kind of good allegory for the, I guess, the fear of waking up and doing the same thing every day. Whether that's, I guess, an office job or whatever that may be to you. I think Andy Samberg's character is a really good example of that. You also have Kristen Milioti, who is another very strong character. This is a very good female character specifically because when the male characters have baggage, she doesn't act as the conveyor belt for that emotional drama. She puts it onto them and they have to figure it out for themselves, which you don't see very often in rom-coms for some reason. So this is a movie that takes place in Palm Springs, as the title implies, and they're at a wedding for Sarah's sister, and Andy Samberg is Andy Samberg is the boyfriend to one of the bridesmaids. Palm Springs is a weird place, I think. I've never been there personally, but I know people that have been there, and it's just basically shitty resorts in a desert, and that's fine, I guess. But it would suck to live an eternity there, probably. As Andy Samberg makes it seem, there's not a lot to do. After a while, you figure out everything. You gotta start banging dudes. That's a fun plot point. Now, in this movie, I mentioned it earlier, but you start at just a random point. It's the director said that he liked the idea of making it a time loop movie that feels like a sequel to a movie that doesn't exist. They don't have to explain to you, because it's already pretty vague. at one point, the Sarah character follows Andy Samberg into this cave, and she starts into the time loop, and that's all they really want to explain to you. They don't get much deeper than that, other than they're in some sort of quantum time loop. The movie's got some issues with some terrible CGI, but I don't think it was that expensive of a movie to make, so I guess that's forgivable. I just would have maybe liked to not see CGI boulders rolling down a hill. I think I would have maybe liked to not see that. There's also a side plot where J.K. Simmons at one point went through the cave, and now he's trying to kill Andy Samberg every time he gets the chance. Not that anything will happen, because the day just resets regardless of if you die or not. But that's a fun little plot point to add some fun to the equation. This movie is mostly just vibing, to be honest. It's a quick 90 minutes. Once they accept that they're in the time loop, they just kind of chill for half an hour. There's dinosaurs, there's camping sex, there's all sorts of things. Murder, there's maybe murder. Suicide, maybe murder. A little bit of murder, maybe murder. I don't know. But as the movie kind of unwinds and reveals itself, there's a lot of little plot points that maybe you picked up on, maybe you didn't. And they all kind of work together in a very good way. Like I said, the characters are very good. They don't they're not too fake rom-com-y, I guess I would call it, because sometimes you watch a rom-com and you're like, those aren't real people, but these do feel like real people that got stuck in this situation and are navigating the world like real humans, which is refreshing. At one point, it is revealed that Andy Samberg has been in there for a very long time and has done basically everything you can possibly do, and has given up. But Sarah, however, does not want to give up. I don't want to reveal too much of this, because this is a movie I think is worth a watch. It's not going to blow your brain apart, but there are some fun aspects of this movie. It's a very cute and nice movie. It's a very, very nice movie for baby brains. If you have a tiny baby brain, like myself, you will enjoy the film. Eventually, they figure out that they need to break out of this time loop, and that's pretty much the movie. It's very simple, very fun, very nice little rom-com. It also is a very good-looking movie for the tiny scope of it. I think they found a nice remote area to film this in, of Palm Springs, and it looks great, especially if you even look at the poster with those blues and pinks. It's very nice. Very nice to see that. One thing I didn't mention is my favorite tiny little comedian, Connor O'Malley, the best loud man in the world, is in this for just a little bit, and I wish he got some more recognition than that, but I'm very happy to see him in a movie, because he really brings the jokes. You can't have Connor O'Malley in a movie without him bringing jokes. To me, this is a classic 3-star film. Well, that's the episode for this Monday. Come back on Wednesday, and we'll have a fresh horror review for you. That's right, this show airs every Monday, Wednesday, and on Friday, you can see us review Star Trek episodes over on Trek Epidemic here on the channel and the podcast feed, and Sundays will be a classic Patreon episode of the original podcast, Out of the Vault. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Stop.